The brethren in the East should be aware that the strategy that is coming their way primarily is that of providing them with sufficient funding to dissuade them from Christianity and persuade them to convert to Islam. OIC is persuaded and convinced that if the average Igbo man is given sufficient money, he will drop the Bible and pick up the Quran. In January 2014, an incident was reported at the National Mosque in Abuja, in which 18 young Igbo men converted to Islam publicly. Those 18 young men between the ages of 25 and 35 received a lot of money for their conversion. The governors of Sokoto State and Bauchi State gave the young men 5 million naira each. It was reported that Governor Rocha Sokorocha of Imo State gave them 2 million naira. Of course, the governor later denied it, but he has not sued any of the newspapers that carried the story to court. It was also reported that retired Governor Juzo Kalu gave the converts to Islam 1 million naira. It will appear that money is beginning to play a crucial role in whether the brethren in the East will remain Christians or not. It is advisable that Christians should be aware of this conspiracy, and our brethren in the East should be alerted, and they should be discipled that money is not everything. We are not 21st century Esau who will sell his birthright for a morsel of porridge. Southwest. OIC said 30 years ago in a strategy document, in Yoruba land, both Christianity and Islam are superficial. This implies if a Yoruba man tells you that he's a Christian, OIC says don't mind him, he's not a serious Christian. If he tells you that he's a Muslim, don't mind him, he's not a serious Muslim. According to OIC, the real religion of the Yoruba man is traditional worship. Therefore, OIC proposed that for the Southwest, it will start an Islamic movement that looks like Christianity. This Islamic movement will meet on Sunday when the Christians are meeting. It will conduct weddings like Christians. It will do programs like Christians. Whatever is done in the church, this Islamic movement will replicate it in the mosque, so that in the process of time, there will be no difference between Christianity and Islam in the Southwest. And the average Muslim in the Southwest will see no difference between both, and there will be no need for him to convert out of Islam. This movement has started, and we are seeing the like of it. It is called NASFAT. In the South-South, OIC said that radical youths should be given scholarship to study in Arab nations, and they should be converted. According to the information reaching us, their first experiment worked beautifully, and they have proceeded to take many more young men from the Niger Delta who are now undergoing scholarship and studying free of charge in Islamic nations in the Middle East and in Asia. It is those young men who will return to the Niger Delta as the foot soldiers for Islam. A document was received in 3rd August 1989 from the Arab African International Bank, AAIB, with a letter that says, "We confirm that the sum of US $21 billion was transferred through us, AAIB, by 3 Swiss banks as the federal government of Nigeria's special donation to the Islamic Development Fund of the OIC for the total Islamization of Nigeria in particular and Africa in general." According to documents at our disposal, OIC issued some instructions to the military president Ibrahim Babangida in February of 1990. It is due to the grace of God and divine intervention that these instructions have not been executed. But let no one be in any doubt, these instructions have not been voided. Sooner or later, Islam is going to try to implement them, because OIC is bent on turning Nigeria into an Islamic state. Salient points in the document are as follows. The President of Nigeria was instructed to place total ban thereafter on all form of worship by Christians, Ahmadiyas, and other tribal religions. Number 4 of the instructions: impose Sharia law on Nigeria, Islamize all universities, colleges, and schools, and courts of law in the Federal Islamic Sultanate of Nigeria. It should be noted that as far back as 1990, the name of the Federal Republic of Nigeria was changed to Federal Islamic Sultanate of Nigeria. Again, it is by a stroke of divine intervention that it has not been implemented. It is our hope that the Nigerian Church will not exercise the same carelessness that it demonstrated in 1988. In 1988, the Christian Council of South Africa addressed letters to the elders in charge of the churches and Christian missions in Nigeria. The letter warned of the imminent plan to disrupt Nigeria, that there was a proposed plot by northern Muslims and their Arab OIC supporters to destroy churches, carry out mass murder of Christians in Nigeria with more intensity in the northern states of Nigeria. This letter was sent to the leaders of the church in 1988. Nothing was done by the church. And today, we are seeing it come to pass that there is mass murder of Christians in Nigeria. Churches are being destroyed in Nigeria with more intensity in the northern parts of this nation. It is our hope that this warning that is coming as a wake-up call to the church will not be ignored again by the leaders of the church. We have come to the point in which every Christian in Nigeria must resolve, I will not be the last Christian in Nigeria. We have come to the point in which every Christian in Nigeria must resolve, my parents handed Christianity over to me, I will hand over Christianity to my children. Because right now, the most dangerous nation for anyone to be called a Christian in the world is Nigeria. According to World Watch List 2013, produced by the global Christian organization Open Doors, I quote, between November 2011 and October 2012, we recorded 1,201 killings of Christians worldwide, which gives an average of 100 killings a month, of which 791 happened in Nigeria. 66% of Christians killed worldwide in 2012 and in 2013 are Nigerians. Globally, 50 nations are known to be persecuting Christians. The most dangerous of all the 50 nations is Nigeria. Nigeria alone carries 66% of the persecution, while the remaining 49 nations share the remaining 34%. This implies that persecution of Christians is worse in Nigeria than what goes on in Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Libya, Egypt, all of them combined. Nigeria is worse. Nigerian Christians should not assume that because It has not gotten to them. The disaster is far away. It will not come to them. Let us beware so that we do not become indifferent to the suffering of our brethren in the north. It is necessary for us to look at this map and place it side by side with the map of ISIS, the global caliphate that ISIS is planning. This is the current map of the religious situation in Africa. The entire North Africa is Islamized. We should remember that countries in Northern Africa used to be Christian nations. As a matter of fact, the early church fathers like Augustine and Jerome were based in North Africa. Rather than evangelize, they were busy arguing doctrines with one another. They were not winning souls. So on the day that Islam arrived, there was no one left to defend Christianity. But from what we see of the map, Islam is pushing downwards, while Christianity from the south is pushing upwards. Both have met at the red line. It has been confirmed that 90% of all the conflicts in Africa today are fought along this red zone, which proves that most of the conflicts in Africa are primarily religious conflicts and not political conflicts. It is Islam pushing down while Christianity is seeking to resist. If we look closely at the map where Nigeria is shown, the red zone is in the Middle Belt. And the Middle Belt right now is the hotbed of jihadist attack. It is in the interest of every Christian in Nigeria to make sure that Christianity does not collapse in the Middle Belt. If Christianity should collapse in Plateau State, Nasarawa State, Benue State, Taraba State, then Islam may most likely overrun Christianity in the south. Before it is too late, it is in our best interest to reinforce Christianity in the north so that calamity does not befall Nigerian Christians. At this point, someone may wish to ask, so what shall we do? What is the Nigerian church supposed to do now? Or what am I supposed to do as an individual? There are things that we should do immediately, corporately, and individually.
We will take us down and build our land in faith to defend what is ours.
The infrastructure in the north that sustains Christianity must be reconstructed and it must be replaced, because if the infrastructure is not there, Christianity cannot stand. It is the responsibility of Christians in the other parts of the nation to reinforce the Christians that are in the north. We have the means and we have the resources. May God give us the heart that is willing to give. The church must mobilize political awareness. Before now, Christians were not known to vote in large numbers, but that must change. In 2015, Christians must aim to use their vote to ensure that those who will defend Christianity are elected into political offices. There is the emergence of a political party in which all its leaders are Muslims. All its national leaders are Muslims. At the last convention of this party, there was a window dressing in which a Christian was appointed the chairman of the party. Let no one be deceived. It is window dressing. That party, in all intent and purpose, is Islamic. Therefore, Christians should vote wisely. Church leaders are requested to enlighten the members of the church and let them know that from henceforth, Christian vote must only go to candidates that will not only promote righteousness in the nation, but will also defend the church. Let us not use our thumb to dig the grave of the church. We are using this medium to call on every Christian in Nigeria and beyond Nigeria that are Nigerians, that it is time for the church to wake up, for the Nigerian church to come to terms with the reality of the Islamic agenda. It is time for every Christian in Nigeria to realize that there is a deliberate plan, intentional plan, well-articulated program to wipe out Christianity in Nigeria. Of course, the Muslims will deny it. They will, naturally, because you do not expect them to admit that they are planning to wipe out the church. But from all the information available, from what ISIS is doing in the Middle East, from the global caliphate map that ISIS has drawn, from the statements and the actions of Boko Haram, from the conflicting statements and the inciting statements being made by leaders of Islam in the north, particularly notable Islamic clerics, that Muslims should attack Christians, Muslims should kill Christians, it is clear there is an Islamic agenda. We are not, by this presentation, trying to promote war in the land. On the contrary, we are seeking to promote peace. And we are urging Christians to respond prayerfully. The response of the church to the present challenges must be prayerful. We do not advocate the church or the Christians purchasing arms to fight. It must be a prayerful response. And the prayers must be preceded by genuine repentance. Once the church can repent, once the church can unite, once the church can become militant in prayer, the church will defeat the Islamic agenda. Thank you, and God bless you.
I believe, and I know you do too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But Nigeria stand up, Nigeria stand up. Join me, say, yeah. What a grace.